The red warning light blinked 3 times before First Officer Quinn noticed it. He had been reviewing supply reports when the communication console made a soft beeping sound that meant only one thing: someone was in trouble. The young Villani officer quickly checked the signal strength and location. His 4 eyes widened as he read the coordinates. "Captain Nix, we have a problem," Quinn called across the control room of the Federation patrol vessel Harmony's Light. The ship was currently on routine patrol along the outer rim, checking trade routes and watching for pirates. It was supposed to be a quiet assignment. Captain Nix looked up from his navigation charts. His gray skin showed the stress lines that came from 20 years of Federation service. "What kind of problem, Quinn?" "Distress signal. But the location is..." Quinn paused, checking his readings again. "It's coming from Sector 847 Delta, the Deathworld zone." Every crew member in the control room stopped what they were doing. Deathworlds were places where no civilized being could survive. The Federation had marked hundreds of planets as completely uninhabitable. These worlds had crushing gravity, poison air, deadly storms, or creatures that could kill with ease. Most Federation ships were ordered to stay far away from such places. "Are you certain about those coordinates?" Captain Nix asked, walking over to Quinn's station. His clawed fingers tapped nervously on the console. "I've checked twice. The signal is definitely coming from planet designation 847 Delta 3. Our records show it as Hazard Class 12. Toxic atmosphere, gravity 3 times standard, extreme weather patterns, and hostile wildlife." Dr. Tam, the ship's medical officer and scientist, looked up from her research station. Her green skin had turned pale. "Nothing can live on a Class 12 world for more than a few hours. The radiation alone would kill most species in minutes." Captain Nix studied the data on the main screen. The planet looked angry, even from space. Violent storm systems covered half the surface. The atmosphere was a dirty brown color that spoke of chemicals no living being should breathe. Lightning flashed constantly across the cloud tops. "Could it be a false signal?" asked Quinn. "Maybe equipment malfunction?" "The pattern is too regular," said Tam, now standing beside them. "This is definitely a real distress call, but who would be crazy enough to go near that world?" The signal continued its steady pulse. 3 short beeps, 3 long beeps, 3 short beeps. It was an old pattern used by many species to call for help. Someone down on that nightmare planet was asking to be rescued. "Federation law is clear," said Quinn. "We must respond to any distress signal from sentient beings. Federation law also says we don't risk our entire crew for a suicide mission," Captain Nix replied. He had lost friends before when rescue missions went wrong. The thought of taking his ship near that death world made his stomach hurt. Tam was already working at her science station, trying to learn more about the signal. "The transmission is coming from what looks like wreckage. Definitely artificial construction, but the design is strange, not like any Federation ship I know." "Pirates?" suggested Quinn. "Possibly, or explorers from outside Federation space. The technology seems primitive." Captain Nix made his decision. "We'll move to the edge of the system and scan the planet. From there, we won't get close enough to be in danger, but maybe we can learn something useful." The Harmony's Light changed course, its engines humming as they accelerated toward the Death World system. The journey would take 6 hours at their current speed. During that time, the crew tried to understand what they might find. Tam worked, constantly at her sensors, analyzing every piece of data about the planet. "The life readings are impossible," she announced after 4 hours of work. "I'm detecting at least 5 distinct life signs near the crash site. They're not just alive, they appear to be active and healthy." "That cannot be right," said Captain Nix. "Check your equipment." "I've checked everything 3 times. The readings are clear. Whatever species is down there has been alive on that world for 3 standard days." Quinn looked shocked. 3 days? On a Class 12 world? "The crash must have happened recently," Tam continued. But these beings have not only survived, they seem to be moving around normally. Their life signs show no distress, no illness, nothing that suggests they're dying. When they reached the system's edge, the main screen showed the planet in all its terrible beauty. Massive storms raged across continents. The polar regions glowed with radiation. Volcanic activity lit up entire mountain ranges. It was exactly the kind of world that gave Federation explorers nightmares. "Beginning deep scan of the crash site," announced Tam. The ship's most powerful sensors focused on the area where the distress signal originated. What they found challenged everything they thought they knew about life in the galaxy. The wreckage was indeed from a spacecraft, but not one built by any known Federation species. The design was rough, practical, and surprisingly durable. Around the crash site, the sensors detected structures that had definitely been built after the crash. "They're building shelters," said Tam in amazement. "These beings have not only survived the crash, they're making permanent structures." "From what materials?" asked Quinn. "Pieces of their ship? Local rocks? Even what appears to be... Are they using the native plants?" Captain Nix stared at the data in disbelief. "You're telling me that unknown beings have crashed on a death world and are now using local resources to build homes?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you. And there's more. I'm detecting tool use, organized work patterns, and what might be cultivation of local food sources." The entire crew gathered around the main display. The information was impossible to believe, but their sensors had never failed them before. Somewhere on that deadly world, intelligent beings were not just surviving, but actually living normal lives. "What do we do?" asked Quinn. Captain Nix looked at the swirling storms and poisonous clouds of the planet below. Everything in his training told him to leave immediately. But the distress signal continued to pulse, and Federation law was clear about helping those in need. "We send down a communication probe," he decided. "We need to know what we're dealing with before we can help." As the probe launched toward the planet's surface, none of the crew could imagine what they were about to discover. They were about to make first contact with a species that would change their understanding of what life could endure. The communication probe fell through layers of toxic clouds like a metal stone. Dr. Tam watched its readings with growing concern as acids ate at its outer shell and radiation levels climbed to deadly heights. By the time the probe reached the surface, its protective coating had been stripped away and its electronics were failing. "Probe is functional but degrading rapidly," Tam reported. "We have maybe 20 minutes before complete system failure." Captain Nix nodded grimly. "Make contact quickly." The probe's camera activated just above the crash site, and immediately the crew of the Harmony's Light saw something that made no sense. Instead of desperate survivors huddled around the wreckage of their ship, they saw organized activity. Beings in simple clothing moved with purpose between different work areas. Some were sorting materials from the crashed vessel. Others were constructing what looked like permanent buildings. Are they actually working?" asked Quinn in amazement. "Look at how they move," said Tam. "No signs of struggle with the gravity. No breathing difficulties. They're acting like this world is perfectly normal." The probe descended lower, and they got their first clear look at the survivors. They were bipedal beings, roughly the same height as Villani, but built much more solidly. Their skin appeared thick and weather-resistant. Most interesting was how calmly they reacted to the probe's arrival. One of the beings approached the probe without fear. Through the universal translator, a calm voice said, "Hello there. You folks from the ship we've been signaling?" Captain Nix activated the probe's communication system. "This is Captain Nix of the Federation patrol vessel Harmony's Light. We received your distress signal. Are you in immediate danger?" "Danger?" The being looked confused. "Not particularly. We had some engine trouble and made an emergency landing. We're working on repairs now." Dr. Tam checked her readings again. "Captain, the radiation levels around that being should have killed him 3 times over. And he's not even wearing protective gear. "What is your species designation?" asked Captain Nix through the probe. "We're human, from Earth. I'm Alex, by the way. Nice to meet you." Tam quickly searched the Federation database for any information about humans or Earth. What she found made her feel dizzy. "Captain, their homeworld is listed as Class 15 hazard level. Our database says it's theoretically impossible for life to exist there." On the probe screen, Alex was gesturing toward the work areas. "We should have the engines running again in a few days, maybe a week if we can't find the right materials. Some of our landing thrusters got damaged worse than we thought." "Alex," said Captain Nix carefully, "are you aware that this planet is extremely dangerous? The atmosphere alone should be lethal to most life forms." Alex paused in his work and looked directly at the probe's camera. "Lethal? It's a bit thick, sure, and the gravity takes some getting used to. But we've worked in worse conditions. The sulfur content reminds me of some of the mining worlds back in our solar system." Quinn leaned toward the communication panel. "You work in conditions like this regularly?" "Well, not exactly like this," Alex replied. "This place has decent weather compared to Mars before we terraformed it, and the local wildlife isn't nearly as aggressive as what we deal with on Europa." Dr. Tam was frantically taking readings of Alex and the other humans. "Their bone density is incredible. Muscle mass is nearly double what I'd expect for their size. Their cardiovascular system appears to be operating at peak efficiency despite the atmospheric pressure." "Alex," said Captain Nix, "we'd like to offer you immediate evacuation to safety. Our ship can accommodate your entire crew." "That's really kind of you," Alex said. "But we prefer to fix our own problems when possible. Besides, Tom over there is having a great time studying the local ecosystem. Says it reminds him of Earth's ancient periods." The probe's camera panned to show another human carefully examining some kind of plant that was clearly adapted to the hostile environment. Tom waved cheerfully at the camera while holding what appeared to be a highly toxic specimen. "He's touching it with his bare hands," whispered Quinn. "The plant he's holding produces a neurotoxin that would paralyze a Volani in seconds," said Tam. Tom's voice came through the communication system. "Fascinating root system. The way it processes sulfur compounds is remarkable. We might be able to adapt this for atmospheric processing on some of our colony worlds." Captain Nix was beginning to understand that they were dealing with something unprecedented. "Alex, exactly what kind of conditions exist on your homeworld?" "Earth? Oh, it varies a lot. We have everything from frozen wastelands to burning deserts, active volcanoes, extreme storms, radiation from our sun. Some places have air you can't breathe, others have pressure that would crush most structures. But life adapts, you know? And humans live in all these environments. We live everywhere we can, and some places we probably shouldn't," Alex said, with what sounded like amusement. "Humans are pretty good at making the best of difficult situations." Tam was recording everything. "Their casual attitude toward extreme environments suggests they evolved in conditions that would challenge our most advanced survival technology." The probe's systems were beginning to fail from environmental damage. Through the static, they could hear Alex asking, "Is your probe okay?" "The readings I'm getting suggest it's having some technical difficulties." "The environment is too harsh for our equipment," admitted Captain Nix. "Want me to take a look at it? I'm pretty good with electronics, and we have some tools that might help." The idea of one of these beings repairing Federation technology with primitive tools was almost too strange to consider. But the probe was failing anyway. "If you don't mind trying," said Captain Nix. They watched in amazement as Alex opened the probe's outer casing with simple hand tools and began working on its internal components while being exposed to radiation that should have been instantly fatal. Within minutes, the probe's systems stabilized and its signal became clear again. "How did you do that?" asked Tam. "Just redirected power from some non-essential systems and added some shielding from materials we had lying around," Alex explained. "Your technology is pretty sophisticated. but it seems designed for much gentler environments. As the crew of the Harmony's Light watched these humans go about their daily routine on a world that should have been impossible to survive on, they began to realize they were witnessing something that would change everything they thought they knew about life in the galaxy. "Captain," said Quinn quietly, "I think we need to contact Federation headquarters. They're going to want to know about this." But Captain Nix was watching the humans work, seeing how they moved with easy confidence in an environment that terrified experienced Federation officers. He was beginning to suspect that contacting headquarters might be the least of their concerns. A weather alert screamed across the Harmony's Light control room as massive storm systems began forming on the planet's surface. Dr. Tam looked at the readings with horror. Wind speeds were climbing past anything their ship could survive, and the electrical activity suggested lightning strikes powerful enough to melt metal. "We need to warn them," said Quinn, reaching for the communication controls. "Alex," Captain Nix called through the probe, "you have a major storm system approaching. Your location. You need to seek immediate shelter." Through the probe's camera, they watched Alex look up at the darkening sky with what appeared to be mild interest. "Looks like a good one," he said. "Thanks for the heads up." "You don't understand," said Captain Nix urgently. "This storm could destroy everything in its path. Wind speeds are reaching Category 7 levels." "Category 7? Alex asked. "What scale are you using?" Dr. Tam checked her instruments. "By Federation standards, this storm is classified as a planetary disaster. Nothing should be able to survive it." "Huh," said Alex. "Well, we'd better secure our equipment then." The crew watched in disbelief as the humans began calmly preparing for the storm. Instead of panic or desperate attempts to find shelter, they moved with practiced efficiency. Some humans secured loose materials while others checked the structural supports of their temporary buildings. "They're not evacuating," said Quinn in amazement. "They're getting ready to wait it out," confirmed Tam. A new voice came through the communication system. "Alex, I'm reading some interesting atmospheric pressure changes. Mind if I set up some monitoring equipment?" "That's River," Alex explained to the probe. "She's our atmospheric specialist. Loves studying weather patterns." Dr. Tam nearly fell from her chair. "They want to study the storm?" The storm hit with the force of a natural disaster. Lightning struck the ground every few seconds, each bolt carrying enough energy to power a Federation station for days. The wind howled across the landscape, picking up rocks and debris and hurling them at incredible speeds. Rain fell in sheets, so thick that the probe's cameras could barely see through them. Through it all, the humans continued their work. When lightning struck near their shelter, they simply adjusted their equipment and kept going. When the wind threatened to damage their repairs on the crashed ship, they worked together to add reinforcements. "This is impossible," said Captain Nix. "They should all be dead." "Look at their heart rates," said Tam, monitoring their life signs through the probe's sensors. "They're elevated but stable. These beings are treating a Category 7 storm like a minor inconvenience." One human actually ventured outside during the worst of the storm to collect water samples. They moved confidently through conditions that would have instantly killed any Federation crew member, gathering scientific data while lightning crashed around them. "River's readings are going to be incredible," Alex said cheerfully as the human scientist returned to shelter. "She thinks this storm system might be similar to what we get during hurricane season back home." "You have storms like this on your home world?" asked Quinn. "Oh, sure, though our hurricanes can get a lot bigger than this one, and we have tornado. Seasons that can level entire cities. Winter storms that drop the temperature by 100 degrees in a few hours. Summer heat that melts metal." The Federation crew exchanged worried looks. These humans were describing Earth as if it were designed specifically to create the most dangerous possible living conditions. As the storm began to pass, Dr. Tam detected movement on the planet's surface. Large shapes were approaching the human camp. Her sensors identified them as the local wildlife. Predatory creatures the size of Federation shuttles, with armored skin and claws that could tear through steel. "Alex, you have hostile wildlife approaching your position," warned Captain Nix. "Hostile?" Alex looked at the probe's display showing the approaching creatures. "Oh, you mean the big lizard things? Yeah, they showed up yesterday too. Probably. Looking for shelter from the storm." "Those are apex predators," said Dr. Tam. "They could kill a dozen armed Federation soldiers." "They're just animals," said Alex, "probably hungry and confused by all the activity." The crew watched in amazement as 3 of the creatures, each one larger than a Federation ground vehicle, approached the human camp. Instead of running or calling for help, the humans calmly prepared to defend their work site. "Tom, grab the sonic emitters," called Alex. "River, can you set up the barrier generators?" "What are sonic emitters?" asked Quinn. "Simple sound-based deterrent system," explained Alex as he worked. "Most predators respond well to certain frequency patterns. If that doesn't work, we have some other options." The humans activated their defensive measures with the same calm efficiency they had shown during the storm. The approaching predators stopped, apparently confused by the sound patterns, then slowly backed away from the camp. "You just scared off 3 apex predators with sound," said Captain Nix in amazement. "Better than having to hurt them," replied Alex. "They're just trying to survive. Same as us." Dr. Tam was reviewing all the data they had collected. "Captain, I need to show you something." She transferred her readings to the main screen. "Human bone density is nearly 3 times standard. Their muscle mass suggests they evolved in high gravity. Their cardiovascular system can process oxygen from atmospheres that would poison other species." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying these beings didn't just adapt to survive on harsh worlds. They evolved on a world so dangerous that it created beings who are essentially living weapons." "But they're not aggressive," observed Quinn. "They've been nothing but helpful and polite." "That might be the most terrifying part," said Tam. "They have the physical capabilities to be apex predators, but they choose to be explorers and scientists instead." Alex's voice came through the communication system again. "Hey, thanks for checking on us during the storm. Not many species would bother helping strangers, especially on a world like this." "It's our duty," said Captain Nix. "Well, we appreciate it. If you folks ever need help with anything, just let us know. Humans believe in helping each other out." As the crew of the Harmony's Light watched the humans return to their repair work, they began to understand that they had discovered something unprecedented. These beings had evolved on a world so hostile that this death world was just another day at the office for them. "Captain," said Quinn quietly, "what happens when the galaxy learns about humans?" Captain Nix looked at the peaceful scene on the planet below, where beings capable of surviving anything the universe could throw at them were calmly fixing their ship and studying local wildlife. "I think," he said slowly, "everything is about to change." The emergency beacon hit the Harmony's Light communication system like a hammer blow. Every alarm in the ship began screaming at once as the message played automatically across all channels. Dr. Tam nearly dropped her research data as the urgent transmission filled the control room. "Mayday, Mayday! This is the merchant vessel Golden Wings. We have suffered catastrophic engine failure near the binary star system. Ship is breaking apart under gravitational stress. 47 souls on board. Please respond." Captain Nix was at his station instantly, pulling up star charts and calculating distances. His face went pale as he read the location data. "They're caught in the gravity well between 2 massive stars. Their ship is being pulled toward certain destruction." First Officer Quinn was already working at the navigation console. "Distance to target is 4 hours at maximum speed. But, Captain, look at these readings." The main screen displayed the disaster zone. The merchant ship Golden Wings was slowly being torn apart by the gravitational forces between 2 giant stars. Worse, it was drifting steadily toward the larger star's surface where it would be instantly vaporized. "The radiation levels around that ship are beyond lethal," reported Dr. Tam. "Anyone trying to board it would be dead within minutes. What? About using our remote repair systems? Suggested Quinn. Captain Nix shook his head. The gravitational stress would destroy any probe we send, and their engines are located deep inside the ship. Someone would have to go aboard and restart them manually. The crew fell silent as they understood what this meant. The merchant vessel was doomed, and there was nothing the Federation could do to save it. Their most advanced technology was not enough to operate in that environment. Wait, said Dr. Tam suddenly. What about asking the humans? Everyone looked at her as if she had suggested something crazy, which, Captain Nix realized, she probably had. You want to ask alien beings we just met to risk their lives on a suicide mission? Asked Quinn. Think about it, Tam continued. They've survived everything this death world has thrown at them. They work in radiation levels that would kill us instantly, and their ship is designed to operate in extreme conditions. Captain Nix looked at the communication display where Alex and the other humans were still working calmly on their repairs. The idea seemed insane, but 47 lives were at stake. Alex, he called through the probe, we have an emergency situation. A Federation merchant ship is in serious trouble, and we need help. Alex immediately stopped his work and looked at the probe's camera. What kind of trouble? 47 people are trapped on a ship that's being pulled into a binary star system. The radiation and gravitational forces make it impossible for Federation crews to attempt rescue. How long do they have? Asked Alex without hesitation. Perhaps 6 hours before their ship is destroyed. Alex was already walking toward the other humans, calling out names. River, Tom, Sam, emergency rescue situation. How fast can we get our ship operational? What are you doing? Asked Captain Nix. Getting ready to help, said Alex simply. How many people did you say need rescuing? Dr. Tam leaned toward the communication panel. Alex, you don't understand. The conditions around that ship would be instantly fatal to most species. The radiation alone... How fatal? Asked River, who had joined the conversation. Tam checked her readings. Radiation levels are approximately 50 times the lethal dose. For Villani physiology, gravitational stress equivalent to being inside a planetary crusher. Temperature variations that would destroy most materials. Sounds challenging, said Tom, but we've worked in solar orbit installations. This might be similar. Captain Nix could hardly believe what he was hearing. You're volunteers to fly into conditions that should kill you to save people you've never met? Of course, said Alex, looking confused by the question. They're in trouble. That's what matters. Within 2 hours, the humans had their ship operational enough for short-range flight. It was not an impressive vessel by Federation standards, crude, bulky, and obviously built for function rather than beauty. But as Dr. Tam watched it lift off from the planet's surface, she realized it was also incredibly durable. Their ship is built like a mobile fortress, she reported. Heavy shielding, redundant systems, and structural supports that could probably survive a direct meteor impact. The human ship explorer's dream met up with the Harmony's light in space, and Captain Nix got his first clear look at human technology. It was rough and practical, but every system seemed designed to operate in the most extreme conditions possible. This is Alex. We're ready to proceed to the rescue site. Can you provide us with the exact location and status of the distressed vessel? Alex, said Captain Nix carefully, I need you to understand what you're volunteering for. Our computers calculate a 98% probability that anyone attempting this rescue will not survive. What about the people on the merchant ship? Asked Alex. What's their probability of survival if we don't try? 0%. Then we'd better get moving. The journey to the disaster site took 4 hours. During that time, the crew of the Harmony's Light watched the humans prepare for their rescue mission with the same calm efficiency they had shown on the Death World. They modified their environmental suits, checked their equipment, and reviewed the technical specifications of the merchant vessel. They're treating this like a routine maintenance job, observed Quinn. For them, it probably is, said Dr. Tam. When they reached the disaster zone, the situation was even worse than expected. The Golden Wings was coming apart at the seams. Pieces of hull were breaking away and being pulled into the nearby star. The ship's distress beacon was growing weaker as its power systems failed. "Golden Wings, this is the rescue ship Explorer's Dream," called Alex. "We're coming to get you. Prepare for emergency engine restart procedures." "Who is this?" came a desperate voice from the merchant ship. "Federation Rescue Services said the area was too dangerous for approach." "We're human," said Alex, "and we don't really believe in too dangerous when people need help." Captain Nix watched through his ship's sensors as 3 humans in modified environmental suits crossed from their ship to the breaking merchant vessel. The radiation readings around them climbed to levels that should have been instantly lethal, but the humans continued working normally. "River's inside the engine compartment," reported Alex. "Tom's working on the navigation systems. I'm handling structural repairs." "How are you still alive?" asked the merchant ship's captain in amazement. "Just lucky, I guess," replied River cheerfully as she worked to restart the massive fusion engines while gravity tried to tear the ship apart around her. For 2 hours, the humans worked inside the dying ship while gravitational forces that could crush diamonds pulled at every bolt and rivet. They replaced burned-out components with spare parts from their own ship, rerouted power through damaged systems, and somehow managed to restore enough engine function to break free from the binary. "Star's gravity well, golden wings to all vessels," came the joyful voice of the merchant captain. "Engines are operational. We're pulling away from the gravity well. Repeat, we are clear of immediate danger." The crew of the Harmony's Light watched in amazement as the merchant vessel, which had been minutes away from destruction, successfully escaped the binary star system under its own power. 47 lives had been saved by 3 humans who treated impossible rescue missions as if they were everyday maintenance work. "Alex," called Captain Nix, "return to our position immediately. You need medical attention after that level of radiation exposure." "Medical attention?" Alex sounded confused. "We feel fine. Actually, River says she got some great readings on gravitational effects. This has been really educational." Dr. Tam looked at her radiation sensors in disbelief. They should be dead 10 times over. Instead, they're treating this as a learning experience. As the human ship returned to the Harmony's Light, Captain Nix realized that he had just witnessed something that would become legend throughout the galaxy. 3 beings from a death world had voluntarily flown into conditions that defied survival, saved 47 lives, and emerged without complaint or request for reward. "Captain," said Quinn quietly, "I think we need to revise our understanding of what's possible in this galaxy." Captain Nix nodded as he watched the humans dock their ship with casual competence. "I think we need to revise our understanding of everything." News of the impossible rescue spread through Federation space like wildfire. Within hours of the Golden Wings docking safely at the nearest space station, every communication network in the galaxy was carrying the story of the mysterious humans, who had flown into certain death and emerged victorious. Captain Nix found himself in the unusual position of being famous. His report had been forwarded to Federation Command, then to the Galactic Council, then to news services throughout known space. Everyone wanted to know more about the beings from the death world who had saved 47 lives. "Captain, we're receiving priority communications from Federation headquarters," announced Quinn. "Admiral Rose wants to speak with you directly." The main screen activated to show Admiral Rose, a distinguished Villani officer with silver skin and kind eyes. Behind her, Captain Nix could see the bustling activity of the Federation's Central Command Center. "Captain Nix, I've read your report 3 times, and I'm still not sure I believe it. You're telling me that beings from an uncharted death world performed a rescue mission that our best teams couldn't attempt?" "That's correct, Admiral. The humans completed the mission as if it were routine maintenance work." "And they refused any reward or recognition?" Captain Nix nodded. They seemed confused when we offered them Federation citizenship or credits. Alex said they were just doing what anyone would do. Admiral Rose was quiet for a moment. Captain, I'm authorizing immediate diplomatic contact protocols. These humans need to be invited to Federation space for formal first contact procedures. Admiral, I don't think they're interested in formal anything. They seem to prefer practical solutions to diplomatic ones. Before Admiral Rose could respond, Dr. Tam interrupted from her science station. Captain, the humans are requesting communication. Alex's familiar voice filled the control room. Hey, Captain Nix, we just wanted to let you know that our ship repairs are complete. We'll be leaving soon to continue our exploration mission. Alex, wait, said Captain Nix. The Federation would like to offer you and your people formal recognition for your heroic actions. Heroic? Alex sounded genuinely puzzled. We just helped some folks who were in trouble. That's what neighbors do. Admiral Rose leaned forward on the screen. This is Admiral Rose of Federation Command. On behalf of the entire galaxy, I want to thank you for your service to galactic civilization. Well, that's nice of you to say, replied Alex. But we were just doing our job. Your job is rescuing people from impossible situations? Our job is exploring the galaxy and learning new things. When we find people who need help, we help them. That's just basic human behavior. Dr. Tam was monitoring their conversation while simultaneously reviewing data from the rescue mission. Captain, their ship's sensor logs show they collected scientific data throughout the entire rescue operation. They were studying gravitational effects and radiation patterns while saving lives. Alex, said Admiral Rose, we would very much like to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Would you be willing to visit Federation space for discussions? There was a pause before Alex responded. That's a generous offer, Admiral, but Earth isn't really ready for galactic politics yet. We're still figuring out how to manage our own planet properly. But you could share your knowledge with us, your technology, your survival techniques, your scientific discoveries. We're happy to share information with anyone who's interested, said Alex. But we prefer to do it through practical cooperation rather than formal treaties. Captain Nix understood what the humans were saying, even if Admiral Rose seemed confused. Alex, if other beings in the galaxy found themselves in danger, would humans be willing to help? Of course, said Alex immediately. That's what the distress signal system is for, right? Anyone who needs help can call, and whoever can respond will do their best to help. Admiral Rose looked thoughtful. You're saying that humanity would serve as emergency responders for the entire galaxy? We're saying we'll help when we can, replied Alex. Same as you folks did when you responded to our distress signal. The galaxy works better when everyone looks out for each other. Admiral Rose exchanged glances with her staff officers. Alex, I need to ask you something directly. Are humans warriors? Warriors? Alex sounded surprised by the question. I suppose some of us are soldiers, if that's what you mean. But most of us are explorers, scientists, engineers, teachers. We build things and discover things and try to make life better for everyone. But you have the capability to be warriors, pressed Admiral Rose. We have the capability to be a lot of things, Alex replied carefully. We choose to be helpful instead. Dr. Tam was reviewing the complete sensor logs from the rescue mission. Admiral, you need to see these readings. During the rescue operation, the humans were exposed to radiation levels that would kill most known species within seconds. Their biological readings show no damage whatsoever. Are you saying they're invulnerable? I'm saying they're incredibly resilient. Their homeworld appears to have produced beings who can survive almost anything the galaxy can produce. And they choose to use that resilience to save lives, observed Captain Nix. Over the next several hours, word of the humans spread throughout Federation space. The story grew with each telling. Soon, beings across the galaxy were talking about the mysterious Deathworlders who could fly into impossible danger and emerge unharmed. Space stations reported sudden increases in distress signal monitoring. If these humans were truly willing to respond to any call for help, everyone wanted to make sure their emergency beacons were working properly. "Captain," said Quinn, "we're receiving a message from the merchant captain whose crew was rescued." The screen showed Captain Hal of the Golden Wings, an elderly Tauran with weathered features and grateful eyes. "Captain Nix, I wanted to thank you for contacting those humans. My crew and I owe them our lives." "How are your people doing?" "That's the amazing part. The humans insisted on checking everyone for radiation exposure before they left. They had medical equipment that could detect and treat damage our doctors couldn't even measure. Every member of my crew is in perfect health." Admiral Rose looked intrigued. "They have advanced medical technology?" "Advanced?" Captain Hal laughed. "They called it a basic emergency kit. Said every human exploration ship carries equipment to handle radiation exposure, gravity sickness, and atmospheric poisoning. They seemed surprised that other species didn't have the same gear, because other species don't regularly work in environments that cause those problems," muttered Dr. Tam. The communication from the humans came through one final time. "Captain Nix, we're about to depart. Thanks for all your help with the rescue. Coordination." "Where will you go next?" asked Admiral Rose. "We're heading toward the Galactic Core region. Our mission is to chart systems that haven't been explored yet and look for signs of life." "The Galactic Core?" Dr. Tam looked alarmed. "The radiation levels there are beyond anything we can measure. No Federation ship has ever successfully traveled that far." "Really?" Alex sounded interested. "That makes it even more exciting. We might find something completely new." Captain Nix realized that the humans were about to disappear into the most dangerous region of the galaxy, carrying with them the hope that someone, somewhere, would always answer a call for help. "Alex," he called, "if we ever need to contact you, how can we reach you?" "Any Federation distress beacon will work. We monitor all the emergency frequencies. If someone needs help, we'll come." As the human ship explorer's dream departed the system, Admiral Rose turned to Captain Nix. "What do you think we've just witnessed?" "I think," said Captain Nix slowly, "we've just met the galaxy's new guardians. They don't want territory or power or recognition. They just want to explore and help people." Dr. Tam was already working on her final report. "Admiral, I recommend that Federation databases be updated with new classification protocols. Humans should be listed as benevolent apex predators. They possess capabilities that exceed our understanding of biological limits, but they use those capabilities to protect others. And if the galaxy ever faces a threat that our combined technology cannot handle?" asked Admiral Rose. Captain Nix looked at the star field where the human ship had disappeared. "Then I suppose we'll send out a distress signal and hope the Deathworlders are listening." Within days, the story had become legend. From the core worlds to the outer rim, beings spoke of the humans with a mixture of awe and gratitude. Children learned about the brave explorers from Earth who would fly through impossible danger to save strangers. Rescue services across the galaxy adopted new protocols based on human techniques. But perhaps most importantly, every Federation ship began carrying improved emergency beacons, because now everyone knew that somewhere in the galaxy, beings existed who would answer any call for help, no matter how dangerous. The humans had become more than explorers or rescuers. They had become a promise that no one would face disaster alone. In a galaxy full of different species with different values, they had shown that some principles were universal. When Captain Nix filed his final report, he ended it with a simple statement that would be quoted throughout Federation space for generations to come. "The humans have taught us something important about civilization. It is not measured by the technology we build or the territory we control. It is measured by how far we will go to help each other. By that standard, humanity has set a new benchmark for all of us to follow. The galaxy was a little bit safer, knowing that the Deathworlders were out there, ready to answer the next SOS across space.